It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this week's theme is called Risk Everything, and this is my summit guide. Let's go! Alright, let's get straight into it. The Summit Bundle this week will cost you $192,000, and you're going to get the McLaren Senna GTR and the Zivco Edge 540 plane. Aside from that, you're going to need a couple of additional vehicles. I recommend an AGP car with scorebreaker parts and a plane with scorebreaker parts, as you see on screen. All right, let's get into it, man. All right, the first event is called Skating on Thick Sand, and this is using that off-road AGP car. For this one, there's only really one thing I can tell you, and that is that you try to keep as much speed around those corners as possible, and you can do that on a couple of different ways. The first is going to be by gripping those sections. I recommend either 6th or 7th gear when you go around those corners, but basically you can also drift it. So if you end up drifting the corners, you're going to be taking them around 95, 96 miles per hour. If you're gripping the corners, you're going to take them a little bit faster, but it's a lot harder to grip those corners. So I'd recommend doing sort of a combination of both. Try to grip it if you can, maybe do a little bit of drifting, but basically you want to stay as tight to the inside as possible, and that'll get you the best time you can possibly get. Aside from that, there aren't really any secrets to this one. There's no shortcuts, nothing like that. That's going to save you a tremendous amount of time. So just stay as close to the inside of those corners as possible and try to keep your speed up using your NOS. All right, let's move on. All right, the next event is called Fight or Flight. And for this one, you're using the jet. So there are a couple of things that you need to know. The first thing is when you launch, you need to be holding down on your left stick. If you're holding down on the launch, your plane is going to take off a lot faster. Now, aside from that, the plane actually earns a lot of NOS when drifting, and drifting is just turning with the bumpers. So you're going to want to turn with the bumpers as much as possible. Use the most wide angles to use the bumpers only. If you have to use a sharp turn and you have to turn the plane and, make this banked style turn, obviously you're going to need to do that because you don't want to miss checkpoints. But your best bet is to always use the bumpers and consistently be pumping the NOS at the top of the NOS bottle. If you're doing this and you're using mostly the bumpers throughout the entire course, you should have a full tank of NOS pretty much all the time, and therefore you're going to be going as fast as you possibly can. You want to keep the speed up near the 300 miles per hour range. That's kind of it for this one. There's not a whole lot, but that launch and the NOS is going to help. All right, let's move on. All right, the next event is called Driving on a Tightrope. And for this one, you're using that monster truck, the Abarth monster truck. This one is kind of silly. So basically, the event is limiting your speed every single lap that you are there. So you can only go so fast on every single lap. So you're going to need to be cutting these corners as close as possible to these cones, and you don't want to hit any cones. If you hit a cone, you're going to get a penalty, and your time will be a lot less. The goal here is to not hit any cones, make it through the entire race. Now, the one part that's going to be a little bit tricky is maybe the last 2 laps, because the monster truck is going a lot faster and you could have a hard time with one of the corners. This one here, it's a little bit tricky. So what I do is just before it, cut to the right and then cut the wheel back to the left. The monster truck should drift a little bit and should help you make the corner. Now, you're going to see some insane times on the leaderboards here for this one, and it's because if you do this in a crew with, like, say 3 or 4 people, everybody's bonuses for having a clean race stack up and the host gets the benefit of all of that. So you're going to see like almost some basically negative times on this one, and that's going to give you a lot of points in the summit. However, it's really not necessary. I did it solo, and this is what my leaderboard looks like. I still had a pretty good score. Now, I may go back and do this in a crew of 4 just simply because I want to compete with the top times, but you don't really have to do that. It's just only necessary for the top of the leaderboard. All right, let's move on. All right, the next event is called On Dangerous Ground, and this is also using that dirt AGP car. So for this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and let my full lap play out so you can see the lines that I'm taking. There's only like a couple of cuts, but just know that everything is intentional. I'm really pushing the boundaries of the lines here. You gotta obviously stay within the checkpoints, but there are certain things you wanna avoid and certain things you want to use, like say NOS in the air. You wanna be able to turn your car in the air on certain spots. Just pay attention to everything that I'm doing here on this lap. Try to repeat that on your second lap as well. Enjoy. All right, the next event is called Upping the Ante, and this is with the Zivco Edge. Now, this one, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not like the best plane flyer out there, but this one seems to be all about NOS management and your lines. You want to take the shortest lines between these two checkpoints. Every single checkpoint, you want to just make that shortest path possible because that gives you more and more time. On top of that, you want to let your NOS build up as much as possible, so you're only using the very, very top of the bottle. That actually will help you a lot. The NOS management seems to be the key here. I drive terribly with planes, and I got a decent time on this one. I think I might even still be a top 10 time at this point. So this is something that you guys can absolutely do. I usually steer with the bumpers, although I think that's a little bit slower than steering normally, but it's just what's comfortable for me, and I got a pretty good time, so I think you guys can do it as well. So anyways, NOS management and shortest distance between each checkpoints, and you'll be good. All right, the last event is called Doubling the Stakes, and this is with the Senna GTR. This definitely is going to be the most frustrating race for you guys because there's a lot of little like cuts and lines that you need to take in order to maximize your time, and there's a little bit of RNG and skill required on one of the jumps. So let's just get into it. There's a ton to talk about on this one. All right, so this first part here on this one jump, you want to take it kind of to the right and then reset when you get to the checkpoint flag. And then here, you're going to veer to the left of this jump at 12%. Go ahead and cut the dirt here on the right. Then accelerate, use lots of NOS here. Then you're going to quickly slow down for this left-hander and cut it really, really tight. Now, when you go around this building here on the left at 23, you'll go to the right of the jump, which I did not do in this clip. Make sure you're going around to the right on that jump. You're going to save some time. Here at about 36%, you're going to cut the corner and stay to the left of this jump at 39%. Use NOS in the air here. And then you're going to get ready for these jumps here. I would say go to the left of this jump and slow down just a little bit right before the jump. Turn the car to the right and use NOS in the air. Now, I did it kind of janky, but that was my best, most fastest time. So it is what it is at this point. Slow down for this turn at 66. Then these turns, you're actually going to be drifting these. So I need to make sure, I did not mention this at the beginning, but you want to have your stunt assist on comfort. That'll help your car sort of stick to these white lines that are in the dirt, that are in the pavement, excuse me. And the stunt assist is super helpful for this one because you can kind of hit these almost at full speed, and the car, you can see the car sort of magnetized to those rings. Now, when you come up here, cut this checkpoint to the left, then stay to the right on this one. Watch out for the grind rail. Then stay all the way to the right and go down this hill instead of taking that jump. And you can cut this one as well to the left here on the flag. Just control your speed. All right, another right-hander here, up this one. Control speed here, this is a tight corner. Then you're gonna use the stunt assist again on this one, and you're basically home free after that. NOS to the finish. All right, let's move on. All right, I'll let my feats play out, but I just wanna have a couple of notes here. On the long jump, you're gonna wanna make sure you have a score breaker set of parts. It helps you with your score. You really won't have to try very hard as long as you're using NOS at the top of the jump and all the way through the air, and you have score breaker, you're gonna get a good score. So don't worry too much about that one. On the Bullseye, I recommend using the AGP car and going backwards. If you go backwards on the Bullseye, you're actually going to get a little bit more points. It's a little weirder and a little bit of a harder route, but it rewards you with more points. So again, make sure you have score breaker on that same AGP car and go ahead and take it through the Bullseye backwards. Now, as far as the low altitude is concerned, you do not have to fly upside down, although this is the direction I recommend going if you are going to go upside down. If you have score breaker, you can literally just fly normally and just fly as close to the ground as possible and go for as long as you can. You're probably going to get a full score and you won't need any advice from me. But if you want to get the max score, you want to get the most amount of points, you should fly upside down and go the opposite direction that you spawn. All right, here are my final scores. I really hope this video helps. This is the last one I should be filming like this. I'll be back to my regular setup next week. And I really appreciate you guys sticking with me on this one. I know the audio and the video might not be up to the quality that I normally put out. So thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, send me a message on Instagram or Discord. Thank you so much. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.